YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. Let's face it, Facebook ad costs are going through the roof, and even when you have a great ad, they're almost impossible to scale. In this video, I'll show you how you can use YouTube ads, just like the one you're watching right now, to scale your business to 7 or even 8 figures.
Hey, do you know what it takes to skyrocket everything you're doing on YouTube? And I'm talking if you're already creating videos on YouTube, that's one thing. But if you have a business and you're not leveraging YouTube for ad growth, like you might be on Facebook or Google, and those are good, but YouTube specifically is the one that my guest today says just crushes all of them. So I have the go-to YouTube ad expert. I see this guy getting recommended in all the high-end masterminds I'm a part of and the circles. They're going to Aleric Heck. And there's probably a reason for that. The guy has been on YouTube since he was 12 years old. Early high school, he was making more money than his high school teacher. He even showed his teacher. He'll break it down in this episode. It's pretty funny. And now what he's doing, so he still runs that business. He's someone else managing it though. He now runs a 7-figure YouTube ads business, an agency, and he helps people how to grow their businesses using YouTube ads. That's what we're breaking down here. He's going to break down not only the ad side, but the mindset shift that gets to happen, the way to frame your content, the hooks, and also these ad strategies that you could literally swipe and deploy today. So that's what I recommend. Enjoy this episode. It's a repeater. Take notes, but I'm also going to give you one more resource. If you go over to hustleandflowchart.com/clone, CLONE, what that is, it's my clone, the Joe AI / it's trained on every episode I've had on this podcast, over 600. That's all in there. But what you can ask it to do, either in text, voice, or now video, I recommend video, ask it, say, hey, tell me more about that Aleric Heck episode. Break down the strategy he used to write hooks or present a hook in a video. Or, hey, break down that YouTube ad strategy that he showed on the episode so I can see it in bulleted form. The clone will do that for you. So go try it out for yourself. It's totally free. Go to hustleandflowchart.com/clone and you can try it out. And if you want one of these clones for yourself, just hit me up, joe@hustleandflowchart.com. Email address that goes right to me. My team and I are setting these clones up for people. I'm actually an advisor of Delphi, the clones software. So I'm hooking up my friends. And if you email me, I'll make sure that we can get you started. All right, go enjoy the episode. Have fun with Aleric. Hey, do you have more to-dos, less time, and an infinite number of tools to keep track of? I know I do. Doing business has never felt harder, but you don't need a miracle to hit your goals. You just need HubSpot. Because their all-in-one customer platform can make growing your business infinitely easier. Just imagine this: high-quality leads, fast-closing deals, wildly happy customers, and more benchmark-breaking quarters. It's not a miracle, y'all. It is HubSpot. So visit HubSpot.com to get started today. Your background's fascinating. The fact that you've been in, YouTube, is it 14, 15 years? I don't know what the exact dates are. But yeah, you're nodding. So it's got to be around there.
Yeah, 15 years. So back in 2009. And actually, July of 2009, we're actually coming up on, I think it was like July 26, 2009 was when I started. So actually, technically 14 and a little bit. So it's about to be 15 years. So there you go, right on the money there.
Right, I love it, man.
In a couple of weeks, it'll be 15 years on YouTube. Yeah.
And you're still obsessed with YouTube, huh? It hasn't shaken. You haven't shaken it off yet.
No, I love YouTube, and of course, gone from the organic side to more of the ad side these days. But it's just it's such an amazing platform, and I remember getting really excited about YouTube earlier on, because you could just post a video and people from anywhere in the world could go and watch it, and it's now just become way bigger than I think anybody, including myself, thought it could have been originally.
Yeah, well, I want to get into the story, but to your point, you just said, are those days still here for YouTube where you can post and people will just find you? And I'm talking organically first, and of course we can get into ads on that same kind of question.
Yes, it is, and it's also, there's definitely more competition. It's more of a mature platform. It's similar to, ranking things on Google or SEO. Early days, there wasn't as many websites or blogs, and so it was easier to rank. But it's still a viable, strategy, although with AI, who knows what's going to happen there. That's all the discussion. but it became more and more saturated over time. And so the same thing with YouTube, right? There is, a certain amount, and it's growing consistently, but of people that are watching videos, they're looking up content. And if they're searching for something specifically, then, now that there's more content out there, there is going to be more content, more choices for people to choose from. However, the beauty is because there's so many people watching, and it really is a merit-based system, if you can produce high-value content, which it's not just necessarily the best produced video, it's a video that's going to appeal to your potential ideal clients, well, then you can get in front of them and you can start building what I call the snowball effect on your channel, and really just having it go up and get bigger and bigger. Because the more people watch, the longer the watch time, the more the channel grows. And then, of course, the big thing I talk about now is YouTube ads. So there's a big way to skip the line and, actually ensure that your videos get in front of people. And there's two ways to do that. There's the classic YouTube ads that we know about, the in-stream ads that appear in front of other videos. Those drive direct leads, direct conversions. We were talking about that a little bit earlier, people filling up their businesses, getting leads, clients from that. Yep. And there's another type of YouTube ad that is called a in-feed ad that appears in search results or suggested videos, where then when people click that, it actually brings them to the video watch page, and they can start watching that piece of content. And that's almost like, just paying to get more viewers to watch the content you're already putting up, which can be that little spark that ignites the video growing bigger and bigger.
Okay. Because that's keeping them on platform, right? So on YouTube, they love that. That's what they want, right? That's the main KPI for them, at least.
Exactly. And that's why views with in-feed ads are a fraction of the cost, right? They could be anywhere from a fifth to even a tenth the cost of the in-stream ads that drive people off platform.
Okay. We're going to go back to that. I'm taking some notes there on some of what you just said there. That's beautiful. Cool. Well, man, so we just set the scene of the power of YouTube ads, and you kind of quickly said it, and you hinted at earlier, but your ideal client, your avatar, we'll touch that as well, because you have a whole method there, strategy on that. Mm-hmm. But before that, take me back like almost 15 years ago. How the heck did you break into YouTube? And you have some really cool stories in between too, but like, what was the very beginning of it?
Yeah. So, I started out when I was pretty young, so I'm 27 now, but I started out when I was 12. I had iPhone, video camera. Before that, I was kind of recording like videos with friends, kind of the classic thing. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to review some of these apps. And back then, all the apps, all the good apps were like 99 cents, right? So, how do you decide what app you should download? There's some reviews in the App Store, but really, I want to see it. I want to visually see like what that app is. So I ended up just buying some of these apps and reviewing them, and created a YouTube channel called App Find, and I was doing mobile app reviews. And then, when I think it was the iPhone 4 came out, I started to do like a complete beginner's guide to the iPhone.
Nice.
Kind of the type of video like my grandparents would have wanted, or even my parents, like a tutorial on like how to use like their iPhone. Yeah. And so I published those videos, and they started to get a lot of traction. So, those videos, early on started getting thousands of views and hundreds of thousands of views. And then some of those iPhone tutorial videos ended up getting millions and millions of views, and actually being like the top video for terms like iPhone tutorial or iPhone, I think the iPhone 7 complete beginner's guide is one of our most popular videos, like over 8 million views, like teaching a lot of people, how to use their iPhones. An hour-long video. So I get it. I would just A to Z.
Full walkthrough.
It's kind of like those like old books, like the For Dummies books. It was kind of like that. So it's like
I had that in my mind actually.
Right. Exactly. So I kind of carved out like a niche for myself and doing like these complete beginner's guides. And one of the things I realized is, people want to know how to download an app, so I can just integrate a sponsor. If I have millions of people watching this video, apps are going to pay me good money to like say, hey, here's the app you should download. And and so I was getting all kinds of different sponsorships. I was obviously making ad revenue from YouTube, which made me thinking, how is that money coming in? And so, kind of to foreshadow a little bit. Yeah. But basically, how I got into the YouTube ad side of things is I built up the channel. I, scaled that up through high school and into college. And while I was still in college, I had these different apps that were sponsoring me. And one day, one of the apps said, hey, we'd love to, have you do a video on our app. And so it's just kind of a standard sponsorship. They paid a certain amount. I did a video. They're like, this is great. Lots of downloads. Can you post a video again? Like tomorrow. I will pay you $500 to like post this video again. I'm like, well, it doesn't really work like that. Like, I don't want to just take your money and just like repost the video because people are going to watch that. And, it's like they've already seen it, right? So it's not going to have the results you think it's going to have. They didn't really understand like organic marketing. And then, well, what if we take that same $500 and we just put it into ads on YouTube and, target people that are similar to those that already watched the video? We can reach more people. And so they're a little skeptical, but, they agreed and ran that. They ended up getting thousands of users from that campaign. And then, and we kept running it for a little bit. And then from there, there was another app that like found out that I did that, and then they wanted me to, and then, basically it became a snowball. So originally I was doing YouTube ads for mobile apps. Then I found, ClickFunnels and the whole kind of online world back in 2016. Nice. I was at HubSpot Inbound. There was the ClickFunnels booth. I saw that and signed up for ClickFunnels, and then I joined a mastermind as well. And in that mastermind, everybody was doing Facebook ads to their funnels, and I was doing YouTube ads. And so people wanted to know how I was getting so much better results with YouTube ads, especially because this was back in like 2016, right? So, people didn't really even know that much about YouTube ads, or that it was, a real possibility to get a lot of conversions from it, like people do know today. And again, part of that is I've spent, millions of dollars of my own money, like teaching people, like running ads, on YouTube, telling people about the power of YouTube ads. So that definitely helped a little bit. But but basically, I was like, all right, this is it, and I built a whole business around it, practice what we preach. We've now spent like ourselves over $7.7 million on YouTube ads.
Oh my god!
Inside of our business.
Wow.
And then of course we've helped our clients spend a lot more than that, like collectively. And so we've just gone really deep ourselves. We've worked with now thousands of businesses, especially coaching, consulting, course, info, education-based businesses. Although we have a variety of other businesses as well, but that's kind of the main ones. Nice. And that's basically been kind of the journey. And so now we help a variety of businesses leverage the power of YouTube ads.
It's huge. And there's I don't think you said it here, but when what was it? When you were in high school, there was like a story I read, and just tell that really fast, because I thought that like blew my mind, and just thinking like, I could totally see why, but just briefly explain that part.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I had the YouTube channel that was doing well, and this wasn't even including sponsorship revenue. On just the ad revenue, it was making over like $60,000 a year. It was making over $5,000 a month. Yep. And I was telling somebody in like, I think this was my sophomore year in high school. I was telling somebody in like one of my classes, and I was like, showing them, and the teacher came over, and he's like, "What are you looking at?" And I was like, "Oh, just showing like some of the YouTube revenue." And he took a look at it. He's like, "Oh, that can't be real." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "That says you made like $60,000." And I'm like, yeah, that's the YouTube ad revenue. And then it's like, and I showed him, that it's like, this is YouTube. And then his face kind of turned white, and he's like, and he said that was more than he makes.
I was gonna say.
So that was a moment where I didn't really know that, because I didn't really have a concept at that point, of what amounts of money different people made per se. And I knew I was making money. I knew I was making more than other people, in high school, but I didn't necessarily know I was making more than people doing full-time jobs. So that was when I realized, wow, okay, this is something that I have here. Yeah. And and that was definitely a big moment.
Well, what did that, like, I'm curious of what it did to your mindset, like going back to the foundation element that we kind of started this with, is like that, what do you feel like that was a moment where it was like, oh wow, like I'm onto something maybe that is scalable, or way before other people? Like, was there a shift there you think that supported you and where you're at now?
Yeah, I think that supported me in looking at like, that there was more possibility there. And I think always I was just competitive with myself, so I wanted to do more. And, and also cool. I think in my mind, I knew I wanted to do more of this type of stuff. So in my mind, I was like, well, it's not $100,000 a year yet, so like, that's probably how I was, not probably, I mean, that's how I was thinking at that time. And so just kind of, normalizing that current level, always looking at what's ahead. But it's interesting whenever you kind of stop and see, what other people are doing. Yeah. And, and then by the time I was in college, it was over $100,000 a year. and I was using that to like pay for college and then fund, AdOutreach, which became this, the YouTube ads business. So
Right, and that's where you're at now. Man,
exactly.
all right. Did you complete college too, all the way through, or did you?
I did, and I even did it in less time. So I did it like 3.5 years. I was gonna do it in 3 years, but then I was just like, all right, I need to focus more on the business. But
Don't totally crush your soul like in the
yeah,
process.
I know exactly. What I did is I put all my classes on like 2 days a week. Basically, I was like in classes from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Wow.
And then I had like 1 or 2 classes that were on like Wednesday, but everything was like Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
And I would basically do all of my potential client calls, sales calls, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, client calls, sales calls, fulfillment. I would do all of my like extra stuff on, doing kind of more stuff for the business on Saturday. And then I would do all my coursework on Sunday and rinse and repeat. So I was basically just grinding nonstop,
Do what you got to do, man.
And sometimes it's like, that's a good season for that type of thing that can really just spur something bigger.
Well, I was going to say, actually, yeah, because like myself, I'm 39 now. I have kids now. And it's like, but like there's a different season I'm in now. And, I look back to like when I was your age, and not to sound like some like old man now. That's weird, but there's seasons of life that I've finally learned. I'm like, yeah, like you got to lean in this phase, whatever it is, and if you're aware at those times, like I feel like that can make all the difference. And yeah, I mean, like that's where it's like, yeah, get through college, but like you're doing it in a way where you're time blocking everything, and it sounds like that's a way that you probably live in general, right? Like, are there some like I'm curious of any models that you think support you in getting like not only scale because you scaled yourself through college really fast or university while also scaling a business, but like are there things like that, time blocking, are there other things that kind of stand out that support you as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of really good concepts. Cal Newport's like deep work is really good. So diving into that is really valuable. So kind of, pushing as much of the shallow work to like individual time spots and really focusing on kind of bigger projects. And also, he talks about like the attention residue and, kind of switching costs. Yep. And one of the big things that I did was really map out my days of my week. And I'll actually give an illustration of that. So essentially, now this is subject to change a little bit, so it's not perfect. So I think anybody who's listening who's just like, oh, it's hard to make it perfect. It's like, it's not perfect for me either. But I'm just giving you the general view of like what I like to do now, which is similar to what I had done back in college, which was like eliminating switching costs. Is eliminating switching costs, where it's like Monday is a lot of internal meetings for me. So a lot of like inside of the business, internal meetings. Tuesday is a content-based day. So that's what I'm doing. I'm more doing like, shooting different like videos, ads, funnels. Also, if I don't have a large shoot, I'll do deep work. That's also one of the 2 days I'll do podcasts. The other day is Thursday, which is external calls, which is what we're doing today. Wednesday is more higher level, big picture day. So, and again, an example of how it's not always perfect is there's been seasons where that day I don't have any calls scheduled and it's just deep work. Right now, I'm not in one of those seasons because I've got a lot of projects that I'm moving forward, and so I am having more calls on Wednesday. But they are more on things to push the business forward. And then, whereas Monday is more like administration, right? Mm-hmm. And then Thursday is external calls. So that's also where there's podcasts. If there's, a client or potential client, or, high value potential client, or there's, just I met somebody at a networking event. We're going to have continue the conversation. I also have a couple of other businesses. I still run my YouTube channel, AppFind. So, every couple weeks or so, I'll have a 30-minute call with, the guy who runs the channel now. And, or it's not that I still run it. Sorry, I still own the channel, but I don't run it anymore. I have somebody that runs it. And so every couple weeks I'll have a call. And so it's basically like that's external calls. And then Friday is kind of like, a kind of day to flex day. So anything else I need to like get done or, meetings that needs to get put in place, we'll do that on Friday. And then I also do in this season of my life, I also do Saturday as that's my true like no call day. So I don't take calls on Saturday, but I do work on Saturday, and I'll do like what I call coffee shop work and creative work. So I'll do my writing, I'll write for my newsletter, my social media. I'll also do some like deeper work if there's a project or I'm writing something out, or I'm doing a slide deck. If I'm speaking at an event, I'll do slideshow stuff. And then the idea is take Sunday off. And again, it's not perfect every week, but that's basically the how I treat my weeks now and kind of time block things.
It's a great framework, and yeah, Cal Newport's book, good shout out there. But this framework is, because I have something similar, but the way that I feel like it's actually rough, it's very similar. But at the same time, I know the thing that crushes me when it gets out of my way, or when I'm not being as contained, are external calls, sprinkling throughout the day. And like you said, switching costs, right? Like that's the biggest thing that in the moment you probably don't feel it, but then at the end of the day, at least me, that's when you're like, dang, I have all this other stuff that's still floating around, or you just feel drained, whatever. Yeah, I'm sure we're all a little different, but
exactly.
In terms of the foundation, mindset and all that, maybe we can kind of get into that as we start getting into YouTube ads, because I want to talk about the power of these ads now and really breaking down because I've had, just Sean Cannell was just on the podcast, and
awesome.
He's an awesome guy. He's a great guy, and obviously crushing it on YouTube for a lot of years. Mainly organic. I'm sure he's doing some ads. I actually didn't ask him that. But the fact is, we've been talking a lot about YouTube, and, it's a platform, like you said, it's maturing, but at the same time, it's still maybe wide open isn't the right term, but you can find your audience. Like videos with, 100 subscribers or channels, that is, can still be discovered. It sounds like the algorithm's testing these things out. So there's a barrier, but at the same time, go for it. Like it seems like it has exponential growth, but hit me with like how you would start people off if they weren't really aware of much about YouTube ads from an overview, and then we'll kind of break it down.
Yeah, and that's where the power of YouTube ads comes into play too, is because, organic, there's a lot of great strategies. I'm sure Sean has like a lot of awesome strategies on there. And, I'll speak more on the YouTube ad side. There's big opportunities to get in front of that ideal user when they have intent. And I've got a few frameworks I'll cover. But the big thing to know is that with YouTube ads, you're targeting people that are actually looking things up on YouTube. They're actually making searches. They're actually looking to watch videos that solve their problems. And if you can get in front of them at the perfect time with your video, then you're far more likely to actually get not only a higher quality lead, but reach them at the right time. So if you think about it, on Facebook and other platforms, they're all very algorithm based. So people are kind of scrolling, they're mindlessly scrolling, like, oh, I'm kind of interested in that. They might click on it. But they're not necessarily in that learning mode. They're casually scrolling and looking. Now, there are ways to interrupt people, pattern interrupt. There are opportunities to see success with, Facebook ads and things like that. However, on YouTube, one of the big things that makes it so powerful is the fact that people are actually going and they are watching videos on YouTube. So they're going in and they are, searching for, how do I solve this problem? How do I solve that problem? And you're getting in front of them at that perfect time when they have real intent. So they're going on YouTube and they're asking themselves, okay, how can I, let's say, lose weight? Or what are the best exercises? And if you can get in front of them at that perfect time when they have intent, then you're reaching them at that exact right moment when they have that intent. So YouTube is going to have a lot more of an intent focus, whereas other platforms, they're more about pattern interrupt. So there's a lot more opportunity to reach the right person at the right time with that right message and that video. And I'm happy to kind of dive into some of the frameworks.
I would love to dive through the frameworks. And yeah, because intent-based, I know that triggers so many different things in the algorithm. And YouTube has, one thing I like about it are the stats. Just like the background or back end of a channel is you can understand so much about the people. Whereas like, this audio podcast, for instance, which I've lived on for almost 9 years now, not a lot of stats. So you're like, what's working? What's not working? What's the engagement like? So let's dig into intent and like how you would go about thinking of that and how to build, I guess, the right content, but then obviously your ads support those. Hey, I'm pausing this episode really fast to shout out another show you should follow. It's called This Old Marketing. It's hosted by Joe Pulizzi and Robert Rose. These guys are expert content marketers. This show is also on the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. Now, Joe and Robert on this show, they break down all of the latest content marketing trends and things you got to know as a business owner to attract and retain customers. They break down old marketing strategies called This Old Marketing Examples, from the past and apply it to the now. So super useful. It is entertaining. They love to rant. Joe and Robert do. So I always love a good rant. And just go check it out yourself. Go check out their latest episode. Listen to This Old Marketing wherever you get your podcasts. Are you tired of the hassle of building sales funnels? I totally get it. I've been there. You started your business not to be chained to your laptop all day. You built it for freedom. And thankfully, there is an all-in-one platform that makes it easier for you so you can focus on attracting customers online. The platform is called Kartra, and it gives you all the tools you need to grow your business. The best part is Kartra comes stocked with all the done-for-you campaigns, so you don't have to worry about thinking about building from scratch. Everything is designed, connected, and written for you already. It also leverages AI to help you with some of this writing. All you gotta do is just customize this to your liking, and then boom, you got a fully built sales funnel for you. This is marketing made easy, so go try it out for free. 30-day free trial over at hustleandflowchart.com/Kartra will get you there. So again, that's hustleandflowchart.com/KARTRA.
Yeah, so we'll start with the ad, what to kind of put in the ad, and then we'll talk about how to target that when people have intent. But the thing to think about is people are actually looking to, solve the problem that you solve. And so the way that you structure an ad is going to be very different. On Facebook, for instance, you might want to have something that's kind of crazy or over the top to get people to stop scrolling. Whereas on YouTube, you actually want to lead with value and have educational value, but you still have to hook them and capture their attention. People have about 5 seconds before they can skip that ad. And you actually want the people that aren't interested to skip because it gives that signal and that data back over to Google and YouTube. Yeah. But you want the people that are interested to watch and pay attention. And so you have kind of a 3-part framework to a winning YouTube ad. It's the hook, educate, call to action. So the hook pulls them in, then you educate, you provide value to them, you teach them how to solve the problem that they have, and then you have a clear and concise call to action at the end to get them to take action. So it's hook, educate, call to action. That is the framework that works really well on YouTube. And so you want to start off with a hook that really pulls people in. I'll give you an example of our top performing hook, and we've literally ran millions of dollars in ads to this ad, and also it's made over 8 figures. This one ad hook, which is YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. Let's face it, Facebook ad costs are going through the roof, and even when you have a great ad, they're almost impossible to scale. In this video, I'll show you how you can use YouTube ads, just like the one you're watching right now, to scale your business to 7 or even 8 figures. And you can see that, and you can tell I've done that a few times.
A couple times, yeah. It was beautiful.
But, well, thank you.
Yeah.
But basically, it actually hits a few different points, because inside of that hook, you actually start with a polarizing statement, which in of itself is kind of like a pattern interrupt, which is YouTube ads beat Facebook ads. So people are going to be paying attention. Also, if you're not into marketing or an entrepreneur and you don't really care, you're going to skip that ad really fast.
Yep.
You're like, I don't care about this, skip. So it's really going to attract people that are interested versus, one mistake sometimes people make is making the ad so appealing that anybody will want to watch it. But if you don't call out your ideal clients, then you could get people that are just watching it for entertainment. You want people to watch it because they have a problem that you can solve. So YouTube ads, beat Facebook ads. It's a bold statement. People, are watching it, and it's going to attract our ideal client. Then I hit 2 of the 3 biggest pain points that people have with Facebook ads. That ads are getting more expensive. Even when you have a great ad, they're hard to scale. And then the third, biggest pain point, which I didn't cover, is like if your ad gets shut down, ad account gets shut down. Those are like the 3 biggest pain points. I guess the 4th would be that it's kind of like a roller coaster, right? But it's similar to the other ones. But those are like the 3 biggest pain points. I hit 2 of the biggest pain points, so people are nodding. Yeah, actually, that is a problem. Then I introduced the solution. Also, there's something unique about this because I can say like you're watching right now, but that's like a version of social proof. So if that obviously won't be the case for other things, but you could say just like this person or this person, you can show examples, or an example of yourself to tout your credibility. And then it gives the promise, how you can use YouTube ads to scale your business to 7 or even 8 figures. And so essentially that hook draws in the right people, pushes away the wrong people, sets the frame of what we're going to do, talks about pain points they have, talks about how I have a solution, and then tees up the rest of the ad. So that's a really good, that's an example of like a hook.
Thanks for breaking that down too, because I think the hook is something that we all know now. It's like, okay, 5-second attention spans, we're all goldfish or less nowadays. But breaking down the hook, that It was beautiful. That was awesome. I said beautiful twice now because it's true. Because we could
Thank
swipe
you.
that. Everyone can apply that and should. And I'm assuming every YouTube video and not just ads, but
Yeah.
you know, yeah, we got to hook them somehow into content. And same with podcasts. Let's be honest. It's all the content.
Exactly. That's the thing. You apply some of these strategies. And honestly, the elements of a great ad is very similar to the elements of a great YouTube video or a great piece of content.
Yep.
Because you hook them in. And then the next part is you educate, you provide value. But here's the thing. Most people leave this out. And I will say on Facebook, it actually probably is less of a thing that you need to do because it's more about getting the click.
Yep.
But on YouTube, people are watching to receive value. So if you just say, hey, here's all these things, and then you say, okay, go sign up for my webinar, it's just not the best on YouTube. But a lot of people make that mistake. You've probably seen it. We've all seen ads that are only like 30 to 60 seconds long. And they don't actually have any substance.
Yep.
But people are far less likely to opt into those, especially when you're in a market that maybe there's a little bit more saturation, or there's different people out there, or trust needs to be high, right? You want to build trust by providing value. And so that's where the educate section, and actually having the educate section be where you're providing 2 to 3 what I call golden nuggets. Why golden nuggets? Well, they're incredibly valuable, but they're also small and bite-sized, just like a golden nugget, right? So you want to put these little pieces in there that's giving real value. If you can give them an aha moment in the ad, then you've succeeded. And then that's all designed to get them to take the call to action, right? So you want to teach, you want to educate, you want to give them an aha moment. As an example, one of the clients that we worked with, this is kind of a combination between a hook and educate because it gets into educate. But basically, like one of the clients that we work with helps with nutrition, like a nutrition coach.
Cool.
And they had a really good hook that then leads into an educate that gives an aha moment that gets them more likely to take action. So essentially, they hold up this little like kind of pitcher of oil, right, or measuring cup of oil. And you can see that there's oil in there. So they say, this is 2,000 calories of oil. If it's calories a calorie, why can't I just drink this every day and be healthy? Well, now that we've established a calorie maybe isn't just a calorie, well, why do you think that 2,000 calories of pizza is the same as 2,000 calories of salad? Because there's something else going on here. It's macronutrients, and what those are the different nutrients that are in the food that you eat. And here's the problem in the industry, and at this point I don't have the rest of this all memorized, but basically people are talking only about calories, but there's more than just calories. You can get calories from going outside and like eating the bark off a tree.
Yeah.
But there's nutrients that your body needs, and that's also why when you eat certain things you don't feel full, right? So now you're like basically teaching, and people are having these light bulb moments.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't heard this before, and it's like designed to shock you, give you a light bulb moment. And then when he says, okay, and now that you know that this is the case, how do you know what you should eat? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to teach on this training. So click the link right here, right? And that gets in the call to action. So you can see how there's an educate section where you're providing value. For us, it's teaching about the elements of a YouTube ad and how, custom intent audiences work, and like how that's going to be powerful to reach people at the right time with the right message. And so you can see how you have that like educational component right in there.
It's huge, yeah. And it can be snappy, like you just showed there. It doesn't have to be super drawn out. Like you said, bite size. And as you were just explaining, I'm like, yeah, like that's a nugget. Any kind of head nod, you're getting them more and more closer to that call to action, having them actually go do that thing.
Exactly. And then the call to action, this is the simplest part, but it's also something where actually it's bad to get too creative here. You want to be, very clear and have multiple times that you mentioned how to take action. So at the end, it's a very simple kind of script, right? Now that you've just seen how valuable this can be, or now that you've seen X, Y, and Z, I want to invite you to, and then whatever that call to action is. So download my PDF that's going to walk you through step by step, or sign up for my webinar where I'm going to show you how this works, or my free training that's going to walk you through this, or book a strategy call, whatever it happens to be. We do recommend sending to some kind of freebie first, capture the lead, and then lead to a call if it's going to be a call. But basically, you want to just make it very clear, and then you want to say it again. So click that link right here on the screen or down below. That way you're going to get to a page that looks just like this. Then you flash the page up on the screen, so it gets them, a little bit familiar with the pages. And then just put in your details, and you'll get instant access to that full training. So just click that link, and I will see you on the training. Right? So you see how your repetition, making it very clear. You're also eliminating the unknown of like what they're going to get when they sign up, and that's going to increase your conversion rate there. And so that's the call to action. So that's really the components of an ad. It's the hook, educate, call to action.
It's so clear, and with what you just said, anyone can at least get this party started and do it with with exactly this framework. And I like on the CTA, and this is where Facebook ads, I guess video you can do it, but you're actually showing them what the next step looks like, so you can show them, hey, this is what it's going to feel like, what it's going to look like you doing this, and it's less unknown. There's not going to be a disconnect once they actually get over there. Ideally, it doesn't change from what the video is already showing,
Exactly.
So the structure is great. And this is where, okay, you have the structure. Now, I'm curious, you mentioned this earlier, really early on, the alpha AI targeting strategy. It sounds like, because dialing in that audience, right? Like, so.
Yes.
Are you doing that before doing the ad? I'm sure, is.
So there's a few pieces to that. So you can actually really figure out, it is important to know who your ideal audience is before you craft the ad. So you can craft an ad that really appeals to them. Once you craft that ad, or in tandem, you can start to figure out the audiences that you're going to target and split test different audiences. So nowadays, YouTube is all built around targeting these audiences, but these audiences have intent. So there's a few different types. So there's custom affinity audiences, which is based on what that person is potentially interested in. And that's based on all the data that Google and YouTube collects on every user. There's also custom intent audiences based on what people are searching for right now. So if they're searching on YouTube, they're searching on Google, you can actually target them based on searches that they've recently done. And that's pretty powerful because if you're looking up, somebody's looking up, okay, how do I do YouTube ads or how to do Facebook ads? I can get in front of them, talking about YouTube ads. Or if somebody's looking up how to lose weight or counting calories, something like that, then the other example we just gave with the nutritionist can get in front of them at that moment. And again, it's not necessarily at the exact same time because they might have made that search recently. It's like within a recent period of time. But if they've done those searches, that means that's what they're looking for, and you can get in front of them as somebody that has intent. You can even target people based on URLs and websites they've been on in the past, called a URL affinity audience. And you can target people based on different URLs that they may have gone on in the past. You just put those URLs into an audience, and that's pretty powerful as well.
That is. I mean, especially, if you really know that avatar that you're dialing in, then why not get more specific and go for it? Now, with that in mind, going back to the ads, so the different types of ads that, that we have available to us on YouTube, you were mentioning in-stream ads, the in-feed ads, there's retargeting as well. And you were mentioning the in-feed ads, 10th of the cost. I mean, it's like the barrier here is really so low. So where would you recommend someone start? Like, now that they're already thinking about, like they have some content on YouTube, maybe not a lot, but they're like, okay, I can get on with this. I can create some new content, even if it's just straight up, I'm going to use ads to go send to my offer, my service business, whatever it is. Yeah, where do they start on the getting into the actual ad side of things now?
So great question. And it depends on exactly what the goal is. So if the goal is to get the most conversions and sales and return today, then it would still be running the in-stream ads, the ones I'm talking about that are, kind of targeting in front of, videos on YouTube that are skippable.
Yep.
And yes, you'll pay more per view, but you're also going to get much higher intent people. You're going to send them off to your website. You're going to be able to track conversions, optimize towards conversions. And get more of that return and that immediate book calls, immediate leads, immediate book calls, immediate, clients, depending on your sales cycle, right? Versus promoting your YouTube channel, there's an opportunity if you're looking to grow and build up kind of your top of funnel bucket, have people start becoming aware of you, then that is where these in-feed ads are going to work really well, because these will allow you to get your pieces of content that you might already be producing anyways in front of those people as they're searching, as they're browsing YouTube, and then they can click on that. Now they go to the watch page. Now they're consuming your content. They're interested in what you're doing. And that is really building up your audience, which of course then can turn into sales, but it's a longer sales cycle. So ultimately, it's a time or money equation. You'll spend more money doing the direct targeting, but it'll take less time to convert those into clients. Whereas you'll spend less money on in-feed ads, but it can take more time to convert into clients. Right. So that is kind of the balance there. And honestly, we recommend doing both, as you get to a certain size. Now, budgetary concerns, doing in-feed ads is a great place to start. Just as long as you don't have the wrong idea that's going to immediately turn into sales.
Right. Yep.
So,
Longer cycle there.
it's a longer cycle. Yeah.
And you said a tenth of the cost. I mean, like, what? So, yeah, talking about budgets on both of these, like,
Yeah.
is there kind of a starting point that you recommend people? And maybe there's a, we're all different in terms of budgets and what we can handle. So maybe there's a range that you can kind of point us to.
Yeah, so that's a great question as well. And so basically, with the in-stream ads, the ones in front of other videos, these are the conversion-based ads, we recommend at least $25 per day per campaign, and we recommend at least 2 campaigns. So, and the reason for that is you never want to just have one campaign. You don't know if that's the best campaign ever or not as good. You always want to have 2 so you can, one's the control, then you're trying to beat the control, then that one becomes the control, then you try and beat it again. It's like a ladder where you're climbing up. You always want to have at least 2 campaigns, and $25 per day is what we've found, works the best, just to be able to have enough views and clicks and potential conversions.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that would also be for more of like a lead based ad where you're going to be optimizing for multiple things, but really optimizing, you want to be able to get at least a lead, whatever like the conversion is, at least a conversion, I mean to say, for that. Now, depending on if you're B2B or if you're B2C, you might have multiple conversions, you might have a conversion or 2 for something like that. But you need to be in a spot where you can at least get like a conversion, a few conversions, something like that.
And you can kind of start, playing the math game then. Okay.
Exactly. So now $50 a day per campaign is where we like to start. So 25 is the minimum, $50 is where we like to start. You could start at 100. I wouldn't really recommend much more than 100 though, because you haven't really proven it as a winner. So I'd rather launch, if you've got a bigger budget, let's say you have $1,000 a day, and which I don't really recommend like doing this right off the bat. I would scale up to that anyways. Yeah. But let's say you're like, I have to spend this like high amount. I would rather spread it out across like 10 campaigns than throw too much budget in like a campaign that's not proven. So
1 or 2.
Usually $50 per day is the recommended, 25 minimum, and I wouldn't go above $100. I would do more campaigns before doing that, and then you would scale once you see that success you're looking for.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. And then in-feed ads, though, this is a really interesting one. Yeah. You could do those as little as $1 a day, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you're not going to get as many views as $1 a day.
Sure.
But $5 to $10 is usually what we'll like recommend just to start off, because you can get people watching these videos. And honestly, it depends on your industry, a lot of different factors, all that. But you could get views for 5 cents, 10 cents, 25 cents. You can get really cheap, like 1 cent views, but that's like in different countries. So like in the US, like 5 cents to like 25 cents, you can get views. And you can target those too, for the types of people that you're looking for and have them start watching your videos. Man. Again, though, those are not necessarily conversion optimized. So these are people that might be, at a like a lower level of awareness. Yep. But you can build up that awareness through your content and then get them more likely to sign up. And here's the really cool thing. You do a bunch of that. These in-feed ads get people top of funnel. Well, then you run a warm traffic campaign to all the people who subscribe to your channel or watching your channel or engage with your channel. And you run those to your lead magnet or to, whatever goal it is. And those are always cheaper if you're running this strategy, because you're warming people up. So you're hitting your warm audience. And so, depending on how good you do, it's not always the case that you add them up and it's better than just the cold traffic from the bat. It depends. Yeah. But if you're running this strategy, you'll always get a lower, cost per conversion. I mean, I don't want to say always, but like for the most part, as long as you're setting it up the right way, you're warming people up to the content and then you're retargeting them. And by retargeting them, your cost per lead is going to be lower.
That makes sense. So yeah, that's basically the retargeting strategy is warm them up that way. Kind of like what you would possibly on Facebook or somewhere else like that, and bringing them back. It makes a lot of sense. And you have intent, right? It's like building intent throughout the whole thing. So why not do that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. And, I'm thinking, because I've heard some strategies also, as a podcaster, like the thing I'm reinventing right now is how this show lives on YouTube, because let's be honest, notoriously, long form content isn't, at least podcasting, it's not made for YouTube straight up unless it's chopped up, redesigned, re-recorded. I could be wrong, but at least this is my experience.
YouTube's actually pushing more into podcasts. They actually have new playlist podcast features. More and more people are watching podcasts on YouTube. I'm actually really curious.
Well,
might have to check out your interview with Sean, because I'm curious if you mentioned any of that. But like
a little bit, yeah.
I think that like YouTube, I wouldn't be surprised if they do what Spotify tried to do this. I think YouTube's going to make a play for podcasts, especially video podcasts, because already in the creator dashboard, they're encouraging you to upload podcasts, to mark playlists as podcasts. When you mark a playlist as a podcast, again, YouTube doesn't tell you what the algorithm does behind the scenes. But what I've experienced, when I watch podcasts on YouTube, I get served way more of other episodes of that podcast. True. I think that's why there's a reason they're asking for it to be identified as a podcast. Because they also know if you get hooked on a podcast, you're watching a lot of content on YouTube.
It's a long time.
So I think that YouTube is going to be going more into podcasts, and now is a big opportunity to capitalize on that.
I like that. Okay, because I've seen the feature, and they don't talk about it a lot, and still a lot of podcasters don't even know it exists or haven't tried. So definitely mark it as a podcast. And I know the playlist can get a little confusing from personal experience, because it's pulling in audio as well, and it's like then there's video. It's like don't mix the two, and that's where things get messy.
I agree.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way, but it's okay. What other? I mean, I would be curious from your perspective, other things on the podcasting side. Because I know there are a lot of people that have questions on how to really leverage all this beautiful content they're making, and a lot of them are using things like Riverside or whatever to record. So the video's there. What other things are you hearing on podcasting, YouTube and that side of things? Maybe on the organic side, but paid.
A really good strategy with podcasts is to pull a really valuable piece of the podcast and combine that with the guest and have that be the reason people should watch, and then pull that clip to the beginning. I'm not sure if
we do that.
You do this already, but that is one thing that works well on YouTube. Is so let's say one of the most valuable things that we talk about is how to leverage YouTube with podcasts. Now you get to be the judge if we talked about a lot of great things. But let's say that's something you want to do. So that becomes an idea. So instead of it just being, this episode of the podcast or like featuring me, you could say, how to leverage YouTube for podcasts and use YouTube ads to grow, or something like that, or how to use YouTube ads to promote your podcast, whatever. I'll talk about that in a second, because there's in-feed ads you can use that. So let's say whatever with Aleric Heck, and then at the beginning of the video, you take the clip where we talk about something really valuable. You put it right there at the beginning, and so you either dive right into that, or you do an intro yourself and say, today, we're talking with Aleric, and here's what it is, and you have to be more of a YouTube intro, not just a standard podcast intro. And so that works well because people are looking for that concept, so they come for the one thing, but then they stay longer. Also, they could come either for me, for you, your podcast, or the concept. So it gives you 3 shots.
True.
Right. So they're either a podcast listener of you. They might be interested in interviews that I'm doing, or they might be interested in the, that example of like how to use YouTube and YouTube ads to grow your podcast, or whatever other thing. But instead of trying it to be everything, you choose one thing that we talked about, pull a clip like for the first 15, 30 seconds to the beginning, or you just mention that's going to be talked about, and then have it in the title, have it in the thumbnail. And that's something that works pretty well with podcasts.
With podcasts, I love it. All right, so in-stream ad, you said to have.
So the in-feed ad, exactly. So basically, there's a strategy, and I actually have a video on my YouTube channel. It's just under Aleric Heck. If you just look up Aleric Heck in-feed ads, and I'll send it to you as well. But
cool.
It basically talks about how to run these in-feed ads. But basically, again, like I said, these appear in search results or suggested videos. So what you can do is you can run your podcast, take the best episode of your podcast, and you can run it. There's a few strategies. You can run it. You can run it either against similar podcasts, people searching for the topic that the podcast is about, even that person, the name, you could run it against me. That's the thing. And then all of a sudden, I want to watch a podcast with this. And then they click it. Now they're watching your podcast. Now they're getting to the watch page. They're liking it. They're subscribing, and so they're going through that whole process. And because people are watching, it's boosting the watch time, or people are going through, they're taking a look at it. Now, that is one thing you want to look at. I talk about this in the tutorial, and anytime I talk about in-feed ads, because if you talk to somebody else like Sean or other people who do organic YouTube, and they'll tell you that YouTube ads could potentially harm your organic growth if you do it the wrong way.
That makes sense.
The wrong way is in-stream ads. You don't want to run those to public videos. those are unlisted. The reason for that is a lot of people can click skip. So some of the, and not all, but some of the people who talk about organic growth, they don't understand the difference between in-stream and in-feed, which is fine because I know that they're more on organic. They're not on the ad side. But so they say like, hey, don't run the YouTube ads. Well, or like to a public video. If you do as an unlisted video, it won't affect the channel stats. So what you would do is with an in-stream ad, you run it as an unlisted video, and then it's not going to affect the watch time stats of your overall channel if you run that as an unlisted video.
That's good. Okay, that's a huge distinction right there.
Yes.
Got it. Cool.
Now, with your public content, let's say your podcast episodes, you wouldn't do those as an in-feed ad because the problem is, sorry, in-stream ad. Oh my goodness, you wouldn't do that with an in-stream ad. Sorry, even I get talking about it.
I know.
They used to be called in-stream and discovery ads.
I remember
but
that.
Google changed discovery to in-feed, and now they just sound too similar. But
I hear you.
Google naming conventions. Anyways.
Yeah, that's what they do.
So with in-stream ads, you don't want to run those as public videos, just unlisted. But your podcast, you could do that as an in-feed ad, which appear in search results, suggested videos. And the reason that works is because it's not a skippable ad. People click it and now they're watching the video. So as long as you serve it to the right people, if they like it and the watch time is good, then it can actually increase the watch time of your channel. And actually the opposite's true. Because if it's possible to harm the channel, you could also help the channel if the watch time is good enough.
True. Got it. Okay. And yeah, it's a great way to maybe test watch time. I mean, obviously, ideally organic will start to pick up and you can kind of test it out that way. But I mean, hey, might as well test it with some ads, the in-feed ads that is to content, and doesn't take a lot of money. Like you said, $5 to $10 a day per campaign.
Yeah.
And it's probably not a bad way to just kick off any video, I would imagine, for the algorithm. Yep. I mean, let's be honest, you're playing the YouTube game, right? The Google game. You're giving them money and you're keeping people on site.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's like with Facebook and Instagram, how you can like boost posts. Yep. And there are a lot of people that are against boosting posts. And I understand that. And at the same time, it's like, because some of it's like, well, you don't want to like get into that, like you want to do the organic. But at the same time, if you have an unfair advantage that you can take advantage of, and you have a little bit more money than you want to spend the time just waiting for things to pick up naturally.
Yep.
Well, there is an opportunity to really throw a little bit of gas on the fire and do that, from an early stage. And actually, that's the same type of thing that we still do with AppFind, the original YouTube channels. We'll give it a little bit of a burst at the beginning, and then, there's videos that'll take off and do incredibly well. There's some that, don't take off as much, but basically you just give it kind of like a running start by spending a little bit of money on those early ads. And same thing with the channel that I have too. So it just cool. Depends on what your strategy is, but it's a good way to give it like an initial boost.
I'm turning that on today. I swear.
I'll send you the video. I'll send you the tutorial video.
Please do it. And I'll share it with everyone else in the show notes, description and stuff. Dude, Aleric, I have literally so many notes over here. That's why I'm looking at them. I'm like, all right, yep, great one. So,
awesome.
Hey, is there anything you think we missed or like some glaring thing, at least in framing this conversation? And then I want to send people to you, obviously.
Yeah. Well, one other thing is I was going to talk about, we've got our, AI ad targeting software, keyword search, keywordsearch.com. There's AI ad targeting for YouTube and Google ads. And that's also a really good way to find, because a lot of people are like, well, how do I target? Like, I don't know how to do it. Or how do I write a YouTube ad script? Well, the cool thing is I put a lot of these pieces like into a software as well. So I've got some resource I'll send people to.
Cool.
But, that software, people can get like a free trial. It's like a 5-day, kind of unlimited trial. But the cool thing with that is there's opportunities to go in and like, figure out, okay, what are your ideal clients searching for on YouTube or Google? So you just kind of describe the business, click, type in the URL of your site and then click generate, and it'll go and find all the things that people are searching for on Google, on YouTube, and you can kind of sync it over directly. And it even now, here's a cool thing, it does AI YouTube ad scripts. So you can actually write a whole like YouTube ad script. And it's not just like asking ChatGPT, because we trained it on our top 400 YouTube ad scripts. So we basically built our own custom GPT around that and built it right into the software.
Okay.
So it does like a much better job at like actually, producing like YouTube ad script. You do it and you'll be surprised at like the quality. So
I love it. That's speaking my language, because there's a whole solo kind of content play that I'm doing right now. So keywordsearch.com. Is that what you said?
Yeah, keywordsearch.com. There's a 5-day unlimited free trial. You can check it all out.
Beautiful.
Also, I've got a gift for everybody who's listening here too. It's my 19-page YouTube ad strategy PDF. It's adoutreach.com/gift. That's adoutreach.com/gift. Adoutreach.com/gift. It's my 19-page YouTube ad strategy PDF. Walks you through step by step. There's also a video training that goes along with that, and the ability, if you want, to book a call with our team, and we can, of course, walk you through what we'd recommend as a strategy.
Dude, you're the man. Seriously, you led with so much value all the way through, and it's honestly what I expected, because I hear your name all the time and all the masterminds. Like, I'm in a good 4 of them, and the high level people in San Diego and around, and you're the guy that they turn to all the time when it comes to YouTube ads. So definitely, y'all go to get that gift. Everything's going to be linked below. So adoutreach.com/gift. I like the fact that you noted it's 19 pages too. So it doesn't take too much. I love it. Aleric, I appreciate you a ton, man. And maybe we'll be chatting again soon. I'll report back on all the good stuff I'll do with this podcast. So spread the word. All right, man.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much,
you.
Joe. All right, bye.
Bye.